In this video, we're going to be showing you how to add inventory using a spreadsheet. To begin, let's click on Users Tools, Inventory Manager. And at the very top on the ribbon, under Import Data, we're going to click this little drop-down menu and select Spreadsheet Import. This is a wizard-like application, and we work our way from the top to the bottom. So we begin by selecting a supplier. I'm going to choose Luxottica from our list. And here we can create a new file. I'm going to show you that in a moment. Or we can create from an existing file. I want to give an overview to give an idea of how easy it is to import. So what we're going to do, we're going to select a file by clicking these three dots. And I'm going to pick some data from my desktop. And here we go. And all I'm going to do is click on Load Data. And as you can see, here's a list of items that we have. I'm going to make this thing a little bigger. It's gone ahead and populated the buying price as well as selling price. And it's actually created SKUs for us as well. So the system can generate SKUs and invoice numbers if needed, if you leave that information blank in the spreadsheet, which I'll show you later. And all I'm going to do next is just click on Import Data. And that's it. We've imported all the data from our spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and take a look at all these files. I basically have an invoice number here. I can go into our inventory manager, click on Search, type in our invoice number, or at least part of it. So we got 15972,800. Search. Here we go. Here's our items. So if we want to go ahead and print these items, we can select everything and print. And here's all our items. It's quick and easy. Okay, now we've imported quite a bit of data, so we've got 76 labels here. And that was done in a matter of under a minute. Now I'm going to show you the next step, how we can actually create this inventory with a spreadsheet of our own. So I'm going to exit this out of this one, and I'm going to start again. So import data, spreadsheet. You don't have to do the exit, but I'm just going to do it just to show it from the beginning. I'm going to pick a supplier. I'm going to just do, say, Luxottica again. Now, if I want to create a brand new file, like something we've never done before, I can click on New File. It's going to generate a name for us, and I can just click on here, Edit Spreadsheet. So this will create a template for us that we can just fill in the blanks. So the types, of course, are like sunglasses, frames, unisex, men's, women's, children's frames. All those types that we have in our system on our normal inventory manager. These are the list of types we have here. Anything to do with a frame is already on the list to the right here, column N. So if you can't remember the name, you can just copy and paste it. This column can later delete it or leave it. It doesn't really matter. So let's suppose we want to add, say, a unisex frame. So I'm going to just copy this. And actually I want a few of them, so I'm just going to put a few of them in here. And let's suppose we want a model line. So if I make these columns a little bit bigger, you can see what they're all about. Okay. This is our buying price, our selling price. Okay, so let's suppose we have a brand called Ivan. And the model number is IV123, because it comes in, say, blue, size 54. And bridge is, say, 19, tempo 145. We bought one piece. The purchase date, you can leave this blank if you want, or you can put today's date, or you can put the date of the actual purchase. I'm going to leave it blank for now. And if you have an invoice number, you can enter that number as well. So I'm just going to make one up. And the SKU will be something that the system automatically generates. If you want to use what the spreadsheet generates, because we have a formula in here, as you can see, this whole kind of complicated thing, you can use that as well. I'm going to put my buying price. Let's say it's, say, $75, and my retail price, say, I want to do this by formula, so I'm going to leave this blank, but I'm going to say it's going to be, say, double plus, say, 50. So let's actually put it in. So it's going to be equal to this times 2.5 plus 50. Okay, now it comes into some oddball number, which I don't want. I want to round this off. So I'm going to modify my formula, and I'm going to use a rounding formula. And I don't want pennies, so I'm going to say -1. That means to go to the right of the decimal. Okay. And here's our formula. So let's suppose I have the same thing, but I have it in, let's say we have it in red and we have it in orange and say purple. Okay. Everything is the same. You can see it's generated the skews for me here. This formula, I want to duplicate it, so I'm just going to double click this. And I don't really need the types anymore here, but I can just delete them since I don't really need them. In fact, I can delete the whole column. I'm just going to leave it for now though. And I'm going to click on Save. So let's go ahead and sort of make this a little smaller here and put this window to the right and this wizard to the left. Now if I load the spreadsheet, you can see it's already loaded those items off of my spreadsheet. If I make this bigger, you can see it here. Let's suppose we want to add another item. Let's suppose it was everything's the same except the model number. Let's suppose this was 456 and this comes in red, silver. Okay, and the pricing is the same. I want to duplicate this down, of course, here. And let's suppose it's the same invoice number. And let's suppose our cost is a little bit different. And we want to duplicate this again. So if I click on Save and Load, you can see it populates the list below. So when I'm ready to import, I can just simply click on Import. And we're done. So if I go back to my inventory manager, and let's go and search by invoice number. And I'm just going to copy the number, which is, you can see over to the right here. These are our items. So it's a very simple, easy way to generate spreadsheet data, as well as kind of work your way along from a spreadsheet point of view. If you want to work at pricing or just duplicate information, you can do that from a spreadsheet and connect it to OptiStore One's Inventory Manager. In this section, I'm going to show you how to convert a PDF file to Excel. So here's a PDF file that we have. We're going to go ahead and open this up. It's opening up in Adobe Acrobat. You can also use Adobe Acrobat from their website as well if you don't have the software in your computer. But the software is free download, so I would recommend you download it and install it. So here's a file here. As you can see, it's a pretty complicated invoice. This is typically what you would get from Luxottica or any vendor for that matter. Your best bet is to, if you can get the invoice from the online system, the online website ordering system, you'll notice it's a lot easier because they give you a thumbnail, they tell you the type, if it's a sun or optical, the make, the model, the pricing, your cost. And a lot of this stuff, which is like wrapped around to like 2 lines, it's not going to occur in the website version. However, if you have something like this, that's not a problem. So we have it here in Adobe Acrobat. We're going to click on your Export PDF. And we're going to choose our file format. Here's an Excel format. We can use Word, PowerPoint, etc. But we wanted an Excel, so we're going to choose Excel. And click on Convert. And give it a moment. It's going to upload this to Adobe Cloud. As you can see here, it's exporting it. And it's converting the file. And we're going to click on Save. So now we're going to choose where we want to save it. And I'm going to put in my review folder here. And this is the file. Click on Save. Okay. So once we have done that, we can go ahead and open up the file. I'm going to open it up in LibreOffice. You can do this in Excel. It would be pretty much the same thing. At this point, what we are going to have is we have the invoice converted into a spreadsheet. But you can see like some of the things where the lines are wrapped around like we've seen in the PDF file. It's doing the exact same thing here. Things like here where it didn't quite fit, you may want to just fix it and go from there. Now I want to show you a way that you'll see that's done a lot of this column merging stuff. I'll show you a way to clean this up a little easier. But before we do that, I'm going to delete the things we don't need. Like I don't need these lines here. So I'm going to just go ahead and delete those. And I don't need, looks like this stuff can be gone. And this can be gone here. And just clean it up a little bit. And this final chunk of data can be gone. So now we've got a pretty clean spreadsheet. What we're going to do is we're going to save this as a CSV file. So we're going to choose here, CSV, and save. And just click on OK. Now we're going to close this file and then reopen the CSV version. And when you do that, you're going to see this thing is a lot cleaner. It's all lined up. Merge columns have been sort of separated back into their own columns. Now a couple of things going on here. You can see this is my original cost here. I got a discount. This was for free. So this is my frames here. So I'm going to line things up a little bit. So I'm going to take these columns, move them around a little bit like this. And let's just move this guy over around to the right. And looks like it's pretty good. This line got wrapped a little bit. We can make it bigger. It doesn't really matter. So we're not really worried about that. Another thing what we're going to do is we've noticed this column has some sizing in it. Some of this, as you can see like here, this is supposed to be the, if you look at it carefully, this is going to be the color, but this part's the size. So you can see it's kind of got mixed up a little bit. So we can create a formula. That's not a problem. To convert those to the proper way, we're going to say to the rightmost 2 digits of this thing, I want to take the size. So I'm going to copy that. I can paste it down here. This part seems like it's fine, but over here it's not fine. And I can still do it for, I think even this part here. I can do that. In fact, I can do for all of them going down. So I just double click that little dot, and there we go. Now this is a color here I can see. So I want to do the same thing and correct the color. So that's on the left of this thing here, but it's 2 digits less. So I want the length of this thing again, and I want to subtract 2 because it's the sizing is on the rightmost. So there we go. This is our color. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate all of this stuff, and there we go. That's our color. Wherever it says error, that's because there's no lines here. So obviously you can't apply the formula. That's fine. Those are the lines we're going to delete anyways. Another thing is which one here is a optical frame and which one's a sunglasses. Now in the past, companies like Luxottica used to have, like for example Ray-Ban, everything would be RB. Later on they started switching to RX when it was a prescription type of frame versus RB or any other codes for sunglasses. But some things are not exactly following those patterns, like Michael Kors, even the same company from Luxottica, they're not following those patterns, so some of these brands are not following them. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a formula for that. But as you can see, we're going to clean up this description first because this is our key to that. So whenever it has the word demo, we know it's an ophthalmic frame. So for example, let's just keep going down. Here's a solid. This is probably a sunglasses because there's no word demo. But I don't really care about these parts here because I'm going to not use this column. But here it says demo, so I'm going to just write the word demo. I'll put it in all caps. Same with this. This seems okay. Here, this is a demo. And the rest, the Oakley stuff below, seems like it's fine. So we're good with this. Okay, so now we're going to create our types. So we're going to apply a formula, and we're going to look for the word demo. So let's actually show a line that has a word demo. For example, this one here. So we're going to type a formula find, and we're going to look for the word demo. I'll put it all capitals. And we're going to look into this column here. And if I just press enter, it's going to tell me a number. So that's good. So at the 32nd character, it's the word demo. But if I don't use the word demo, like if I say have it something like this, it's going to say value. So whenever it can't find something, it will have this sort of weird word that says value exclamation mark. So that's kind of a hint though. So if it didn't find the word demo, then that means it's a pair of sunglasses. So let's actually use that information. So I'm going to modify this formula. So if it's an error of finding the word demo, then it will let us know. And if that's the case, then we know it's a pair of sunglasses because it didn't find the word demo. But if it does find it, then it's an optical frame. Okay, so you can copy this formula, and if you don't want to memorize it or look at it, you can just copy it, and I can post this in the comments. And I can just copy this whole data all the way from the top to the bottom. And I'm going to do the same here. Put it to the top. Alright, so it's automatically figured out the types. Another thing we want to do is I want to get rid of this CAD thing. So I'm going to highlight this column. And you can do replace. I'm just doing Control H. I don't want the word space CAD. Just remove all of them. And that's cleaned up. These are, by the way, numbers. And I don't need this column here, % off. I'll leave it there for reference later. If I want to use this spreadsheet for something else, I will have this as a reference, but I can just leave it the way it is. So at this point, we just need to put the brands. So I know MK is Michael Kors, so let's go ahead and insert a column. To the left of this is Michael Kors. And I know it's all the way up to, say, here. And I know, oh, it's even a little bit down here. And I know this is Oakley. So I'm going to copy this and just fill it to here. So we got our brands here. Now I don't want these extra things. So before I do that, I want to describe what all that stuff is. And I kind of want to follow the format of how we did before. But so I'm going to actually go ahead and go back to my inventory manager, and let's get that spreadsheet a blank one just to copy the headers. So I move this to the left, and let's kind of make it over a little here, and let's move this guy to the right, balance it out. So let's go ahead and create a top row here. So I want to basically insert a row above this. And so what's our model line? So here's our model line. I'm going to put that guy here. This is our model number. This column, we remember we're not using it, so I'm just going to call it description 1. This is our size column. We don't really need this as a UPC. We're not using this. Here's our column that we worked out. This is our color, as you can see on the left. This is another description. This is our type. We don't really have any use for this column here, so I can actually delete it. This is our quantity. And we don't want this one each stuff, so we're going to replace that. This column has no function. As you can see, it's blank. We can delete that. This is our original cost. So we can say standard price, but we don't use this as our discount, which we got, which we're not really using it. This is what we actually bought it for. This is our price by, as we can see on our spreadsheet here. If I scroll over, price by, and we finally have to have a selling price, so we can have price sell. I'm going to start filling in my selling price, but before I do that, I want to get rid of these blank lines. I don't need these, so I'm going to do something. Click on the first here header and click on this little funnel here, and under the models where they're blank, I want to just show all the empty stuff. And I'm going to highlight the rows, all the stuff that's in blue. I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to just right click and delete entire rows. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off. I can show all of them. Or you can just click the funnel to turn it off. And we've cleaned up our spreadsheet quite a bit. So now let's go ahead and do our selling price. So I want to have a formula here. I want say 2.5 of this plus 50, and I want to round it. So I'm going to say round of this times 2.5 plus 50. And you can choose a number of decimal places to round. I'm going to use -1. And you can see it's going to give me a whole number. So I meant to say 2.5. There we go. And this is our formula here. I'm just going to double click to price it all down. Now you can see some of the frames are free, like in this case. So I kind of don't want to use a formula. I want to actually use this value here, say 220 or say 250. So I can just override that. I'm just going to paste them in there. And that's it. So we have our spreadsheet now ready to go. Let's go ahead and save this. And now that we go back to our import wizard, we can select that spreadsheet, the one that we're working on, and load it. Now it's giving me a little warning here, like there's something missing, like an extra column. So you can just go ahead and just refer back to our spreadsheet and make sure we don't have any duplicates. So let's just double check all of this. So we've got our type, model line, model number, description, size, color, Now as I look at the spreadsheet, I can see something that's sort of standing out. Everything here should be on one line, but you notice this line here, it's like kind of on two lines. So that's not exactly right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click this, and just like before how the spreadsheet wasn't converting exactly, or was converting exactly with PDF file where things were wrapping on two lines, I kind of want to just fix this. So I'm just going to press delete and press enter. So now it's all in one line and everything looks good. I'm going to click on save. I'm going to try this again. So let's go ahead and load our spreadsheet, and now there's no errors. So at this point we're ready to proceed with our import. So we can click on import, and we're done. As you can see, I didn't put the invoice number, so the system has generated one for me. The SKUs were generated by itself, as well as the purchase date. If you want that information in specifically for your invoice, you can always go back to the spreadsheet. You can put an invoice number. Let's just go ahead and do that. Just like our original spreadsheet here. If I make all these columns wider, you can again see what all these fields were. And I want that invoice number. Again, if you don't put a column, that's fine. But if you want something specific, you can. Like if you want the date, you can do it. Let's just put an invoice number in the system. I'm going to make one up. And let's go ahead and copy this and paste it all the way to the bottom. And let's go ahead and resave that. I'm going to go back to our loader spreadsheet, and you can see now those invoice numbers which I put were in place. So I can go ahead and re-import this data. It will overwrite what I did. So let's go ahead and do that, and we're good to go. So this is a quick and easy way to import information from a spreadsheet. The nice thing about this is if you have multiple locations, you can generate this spreadsheet, have it imported in the system, save this file, and email it to your other stores. So you could always add extra columns, like here we had the original standard, our standard price, which was this, our discount. You can have extra columns which the system doesn't need. It will only look at what it needs, and the stuff it doesn't need, it will ignore. So you can do that. And even if you had, for example, this is your quantity. Let's suppose you had a master quantity. I always like to put a underscore into the names. So let's suppose the master quantity was 10, and you've got 10 locations. So that would be, this would be equal to this divided by, say, 10 locations. And you could get it that way as well. So you could do things like that. And again, if I save this out and I load my spreadsheet, you can see it doesn't complain that there's an extra column. So this is a good way to get things done. Now, if you want to have those SKUs that the system generated to be reused by your other locations, you can always print this, and it's going to duplicate this exact spreadsheet, a little nicer looking, and you could save this to your desktop and email this to your other store locations, and they can simply run the wizard, use the file that they've received from the email, and go ahead with the import. If you have any questions or comments or would like to reach out to us, feel free.